Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. I am a licensed journalist here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Twitter actually recognized me as a journalist. So there's that. I guess you could say I'm happening. Anyway, let's get on with today. Today is International Women's Day. It's today, or was it yesterday? Something like that. I don't know. I'm not up on my days, but I know it's somewhere around here. So there is a brand new documentary that came out, and in doing my research, I found a couple more stories. My last video did very well. Well, it did very well for the first day. If you want to support independent journalism, the best thing that you could possibly do, besides actually donating to me, which is something that I need, is to watch the entire video. It's like donating 5 cents to me. So every time you watch the entire video, with the ads turned on, you're supporting this channel and the growth of it. YouTube already is trying to censor independent news. And I'm not even independent news. I'm published on CNN, actually. So I guess you could say I have that going for me. No, I've never been published on Fox. And for the most part, most of the stuff that you read in magazines and newspapers and stuff today are done by independent people like me who submit the story to the paper, and the editor goes over it and does whatever the editor wants to do with it. So today, in honor of International Women's Day, I have 3 stories for you. The lead story is 27-year-old leftover woman in China doesn't understand why she can't get married. Let's begin. In China and the rest of the world, after age 26, if you're not married, you're considered a leftover woman. A leftover woman is one that has not gotten married by 26. It is a hard line, and you'd have to be a superwoman to overcome it. As one story, we look into Mei Ling, who's 28 years old. Now, there's some consternation as to how old she really is, because in the documentary by Vox and the New York Times, they go to her father's house in the country, and she says she's 30. He says she's 30, or he calls her 30. There might be something lost in translation. In China, the government takes a very direct role in the lives of its citizens as a communist country. From 18 to 25, they conduct blind date events, and you're expected to get married if you're a woman. Why if you're a woman? Why am I circling that? Because of their one-child policy, there is an overabundance of men. But here's the catch. Although there's an overabundance of men, there's a lot of single women now. We'll get into that. So you're expected to get married, not only by the Communist Party, but by your family. And the Chinese have a very cultural way of handling daughters and getting married, okay? There are tremendous amounts of agencies that also sell dating services to get you to marry. I'm assuming that the Communist Party will actually pay a portion of that, subsidize a portion of that agency. The reality is that a woman has a very small window where she can have children. So the pressure mounts for her to be married by 25 and 26 at the latest. At first glance, Mei Ling is 28, overly educated, a lawyer, making fantastic money, and she's a feminist. In China, I'm guessing this is a defensive reaction. She's not good looking in any sense of the word, and despite her old-fashioned chauvinistic village that she came from, she actually turned out to be a feminist. So you would think that coming from an old-fashioned, quote-unquote, chauvinistic village, that she would turn out to be a nice, docile woman, a great wife. But when she goes back and visits the village, you immediately see her personality change to that of, and you understand immediately why she is the way that she is. Mei Ling was groomed to be super educated because her parents wanted a boy, not a girl. So a girl with education, sort of, equals a boy in their eyes. At first blush, in a dating agency interview, she tells the female agent She has a very high standard of the type of man she wants to be married to. He must make lots of money, and he must respect women. I believe there's something lost in translation there about he must respect women. I don't think we quite got the gravity of what she's talking about versus the average guy, quote unquote, respecting a woman. For the most part, from all the Chinese men that I know, they respect women just as much as the next country over, right? The agent set her notepad down and told Mei Ling, and before I start, understand that the Chinese are super direct. There's no filter. They don't even know the word filter. They don't know the word, quote unquote, manners. They don't know the word, quote unquote, etiquette. They're super duper direct and blunt. This is what the female agent, matchmaker agent, told her. You're 28 years old. You don't look young. You're not beautiful in any sense of the word. This interview is over. As we follow Mei Ling, it becomes clear that Mei Ling is not fit for Chinese men at all. Her adherence to feminism turns men off immediately. We see her go to the blind date ceremonies that the government puts on. We see her go on to a few other dates that different agencies put on. On a date, she actually meets a guy from her village. She's in the city, which is a big deal. She complains that her village is very chauvinistic. She asks him how he views marriage. He says, well, there's degrees of chauvinism, but as the husband, I'm in charge. You give me your input, but I make the decisions. I don't want a wife to go out and make decisions on her own. I am the head of the household. You can see that with his response, she is crestfallen. Her face goes completely pale. And of course, then the date is over. The quote unquote date. They go into the agency and have a chat with each other. Now, upon further investigation, come to find out it's the law to get married. I have no idea if they will put you in jail if you don't get married. Maybe you're fined every year that you're not married or something. I have no idea. The father, country bumpkin that he is, remember, he's in the country. So people have opinions about people who live in the country. Even in the United States, people have opinion of people who live in the country, right? He said he worked in the mud to put her through law school and get her all this education. None of the other children have an education like she does. They're all married. All of her sisters all have children. And her sister said, I am so happy that I had children. The father and mother sacrificed everything to give her whatever she wanted. And they said that point blank. Anything that you wanted, we gave it to you. No other child that we had that we weren't even supposed to have got what you got. And you immediately see her personality completely change. She goes from big time lawyer, I want this and that out of a man, to this spoiled brat in the comfort of her own home back in the country. Which she and the guy that was from the village said that they don't need to visit. But I'm assuming because she was being filmed for this documentary, they convinced her to go back to the village to actually meet the parents. And boy, was that an eye-opener. The entire family said, you're selfish. You only think of yourself. What are you going to do when you get old? Who's going to take care of you? When you get sick, who's going to take care of you? And when I alluded to there's a different cultural shift in the way Chinese see marriage, the parents actually move in with you. Now, you, as probably mostly Americans, something like 56% of you are Americans, would think that would be a horrible deal for the parents to move in. But here's what you actually get when the parents move in. Complete free childcare. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. They will pack up, leave their home, and come live with you. I'm assuming while you have children, during your childbearing years, to take care of the children. Now, that's a culture I can get behind. Me having a family from the South, that is an understood thing also, that the grandmother of the child moves in when the daughter gets pregnant. Or not even the daughter, when the wife, whoever she may be, in-law, direct daughter, whatever, the grandmother moves in, or the eldest daughter from the family, the aunt, moves in, takes care of the baby, takes care of the mother and the baby while she's going through that entire phase. Now, as a tradition in the United States, we don't have that tradition normally. And let me tell you, that phase right after women give birth is a very trying time. There's a lot of hormones and a lot of mental chemicals floating around that make women all sorts of sad, happy, what have you, right? Having another person there during that phase is a recipe for success. We move on to the next story. India has 40 million leftover women. They are trying to form groups to lobby the government to get welfare from the government as they age and don't have a family. You remember, of course, so India doesn't have a one-child policy or a two-child policy. They can have as many children as they want. So when these women go out and do whatever they do and do not get married, the parents aren't going to come help her. She's not going to move back home because the parents are busy taking care of the other 3 or 4 children, or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, right? They're busy. They have stuff to do. So as these women are single and keep aging, they have nobody to take care of them. So this is what's going on in India. We go on to Korea. In Korea, being a leftover woman is dangerous because you have no welfare system at all. I don't know what they have in India, but in Korea, they said point blank, there is no welfare system for women single women to have. Women fought hard for their independence and got their right to work and be independent in Korea. In fact, it's so egregious that as outsiders looking in, it seems that the entire country of South Korea is feminized. It caters to women in every aspect, is cutesy. Plastic surgery is the top of the line there. If you want to get plastic surgery, unbelievable plastic surgery, completely changing your face to look like somebody completely different, Korea is the place to go. Why? Because that's important to women. Unfortunately, the welfare system in Korea concentrates on families, not single people. That includes men. So not single men, not single women. Families pay 10 times as much as singles in the tax system. So the government pays them back. You have to understand that the family, right? There's 2 people and they have children. And so all of the things that they do to cover the family and the children and all of the stuff, they're paying tax after tax after tax after tax. A single person just pays for themselves, food, bills, that's it. But a family comes with a whole other slew of things. Now, the United States, of course, should be like that because it's a truism. Families pay 10 times as much in taxes as single people. And you're not going to get anywhere with single people as the tax base. As we see actually going on through all of my videos, you can go back and actually watch. Leftover women has skyrocketed since 1985 in Korea, from 90,000 to 1.9 million today. That is a hockey stick graph, right? Pointing straight up. Unsurprisingly, the typical story is that the woman concentrated on her job and time flew by and she was 30 or 40. I'm assuming that the 30 is a leftover woman also in Korea. It's fine to want to be independent, but in a society that is 90% married, tailored towards married people, patriarchal in construct, and when I say patriarchal, I mean the actual definition, not the silly definition. Patriarchal, meaning the men are the backbone of the entire society. They do all of the dirty jobs. They do all the hustle jobs. They build the buildings. They construct the roads with the hot tar. They're in the sewage system. They're engineering all of the stuff. They're not all pre-architects that build pretty buildings. They're in there, in the skyscrapers, in the elevators, doing all that stuff. In the electrical systems, in the HVAC systems. Patriarchal. That's the real definition. Where men are doing the work that needs to be done to actually keep humanity going in the first world, or second world, or third world. it would be best to move out of those countries, because there are plenty of other countries where you can be single, professional, a woman, and live off of the government. Thank you all for watching. If you could donate $20 or so, thank you.